Hey guys, what is going on? And by the way, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever holiday you celebrate around these times. Before I go on, I would like to apologize that it took me a little longer than expected to get this video up. And that is because, guys, things have been crazy busy. Oh my god. I'm essentially in crunch mode trying to get a lot of things up before the end of the year videos, which by the way, I will be talking about those at the end of the video. If you guys haven't noticed, as every time I have done one of these things for the past couple of years, there are a couple of things that I have not reviewed in the past 6 months. And like I have always mentioned, it's not that I didn't want to do these reviews. There are two primary reasons as to why I haven't reviewed these certain things. One of them is that I didn't have the time to review them when they first came out, or things just got in the way as life happens, whether it's work, personal things, or other factors that may have factored in as to why I couldn't review them. But I know you guys don't want me to leave you hanging in terms of my opinions on a couple of things that have come out in the past 6 months. And by the way, I also do apologize if this video is shorter. I only have 6 reviews within this late reviews round because, let's be real here, due to the virus, many things got delayed. Like, for example, Dune got delayed. Fucking virus. But for the things that I was able to see, it is time to kick off part 2 of my late reviews roundup 2020 with the live action remake of Disney's Mulan. So like I just mentioned, Mulan is the live action remake of the original anime classic. And by the way, if you guys haven't seen Mulan, I mean, really? But in the live action remake of Disney's Mulan, it's essentially the same plot as the original animation. We follow Mulan, played by Yiffy Liu, I hope I didn't just butcher the pronunciation of your name, as essentially she lives within this community, within this structure, I don't know exactly what to call it. She essentially has this thing called chi, which makes her essentially kind of like an outcast, a standout from the others, into which her family wants her to hide it because they want her to be a good wife to a man. However, when the army comes in and they want one male from each family, and when the father tries to offer himself, she sees that he's not in the best condition because if he tries to go out, he's gonna get murdered. So as a result, Mulan takes his place in the army. This is what I can say about the things that I liked about Disney's live action remake of Mulan. The film looks absolutely gorgeous, the wide shots, the landscapes. This film has gorgeous cinematography. I love Donnie Yen. I love the person who plays the witch, as I actually cared about her. And the action sequences are fairly well done for the most part. When the movie picks up, there are some spots where it actually gets pretty decent. But unfortunately, as for one of Disney's live action remakes, this falls with Alice Through the Looking Glass and Maleficent as part of the ones that I did not like. When it comes to Mulan, played by Yiffy Liu, I thought that she looked the part of Mulan, but when it came to her acting, she just came off, I don't know if it was just me, but she came off as wooden to me. When it came to the likability of everybody, there wasn't a single character besides the witch that I didn't have any emotional attachment to. There isn't that goofy sense of fun during the training sequences, and there is one gaping plot hole in this movie. One of the army soldiers in this movie does state that if you're not in good shape, you'll be sent home. You're telling me that if Mulan's father had went over there and they had seen his condition, they would have sent him right home? A lot of the more powerful moments in the original film, they just gloss over in the new remake. And not to mention, and probably the worst offense of this movie, is that this movie is just boring. And the whole message is that don't lie to yourself and be true to yourself. How it's executed in this movie, just, it didn't feel right at all. This movie just does not hit the mark, and unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give Disney's live action remake of Mulan a 1 out of 5. I really wanted to give this movie the benefit of a doubt because I've quite enjoyed Disney's live action remakes, but this, guys, is just not one of them. Next up, guys, is going to be my review for The Boys Season 2. And by the way, guys, I know that the show has been out for quite some time now. Do not worry, there will be no spoilers. In The Boys Season 2, once again, we followed the boys' Mother's Milk, Huey, Billy Butcher, Homelander, the Seven, just pretty much everybody, as there are a lot of things going on in The Boys Season 2. Huey is going along with Starlight trying to take down the Seven from the inside while also seeing if their relationship will still work after the events that have happened in the first season. Billy Butcher is trying to find his wife once again and trying to get her away, and Homelander not only has a girlfriend named Storefront, but he's trying to spend time with his son. I forgot to mention that the Deep is going through this recovery program or something like that. The performances all around are phenomenal. Jack Quaid is still excellent as Huey. Carl Urban is still he still has it as Billy Butcher. Anthony Starr as Homelander still absolutely crushes it. I want him to be nominated for an Emmy or also a Golden Globe, to which, by the way, let's be real, I don't think the Golden Globes are gonna nominate this show, even though they totally should. Like season 1, season 2 does not hold its punches. The Boys season 2, like The Boys season 1, is in your face with everything, with the political satire, with the violence. I mean, oh my god, there are actually parts in the show that my jaw dropped with just how in your face it was. Some of the humor, especially from Carl Urban as Billy Butcher, I could not stop laughing my ass off. And also, the chemistry is there. I like how a couple of the story arcs went to in the season. And also, I will say this, there was a beatdown in the season finale. I want to spoil it for you guys, I'm going to say this. It's 3 women kicking a Nazi's ass. That's all I'm going to say. I am curious to see where they take a season 3 for how they ended season 2. However, I will say this, I did prefer season 1 by a slight mile. There were quite a few times during season 2, especially near the end of season 2, where they had a lot of Deus Ex Machina. It didn't happen a lot, but when it does happen, I was just like, really? I love the Deep in season 1, as I loved his dickhead character arc, into which after some time, I think it was in episode 5, I think, where he realized what he was doing was wrong. Where in season 2, they do almost nothing with him. He's essentially in the background just saying, well, am I going to be back with the 7? While I do think that The Boys season 1 is better by a smidge, The Boys season 2 is still nonetheless excellent in how it ends. I am curious to see where they take a season 3, as I really do love these characters. So all in all, I'm going to give The Boys season 2 a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Yes, it's not quite as good as season 1, but still a kick-ass season of TV nonetheless. Coming up onto my next review is a movie that I don't know if you guys have heard of, but in case if you haven't, I'm happy to discuss this one with you guys. So, coming up is my review for a movie called Nocturne. This is a dramatic thriller with some horror elements that was released on Amazon Prime. And in Nocturne, we follow a character named Juliet Lowe, played by Sydney Sweeney, who is a musical prodigy who feels like she is constantly being overshadowed by her sister, played by Madison Eisman. And the two of them go to this really prestigious school where basically Juliet feels like she's just constantly inferior to her sister, to the point where when she plays a piece that her sister also plays, let's just say a bit of a sibling rivalry starts. Until one day when Juliet comes across this folder that contains this really weird writing and these odd drawings. Nocturne is essentially a combination of Whiplash, a little bit of Black Swan, and even I'll say a little bit of Suspiria. But really, mostly in good ways. Now what I will say about this, performances-wise, everybody is really good. From Sydney Sweeney as Juliet Lowe, Madison Eisman as her sister. The film is also shot beautifully. I think this is also the directorial debut of, can't remember the director's name, but I'll put their name right there. I want to see more from this director after seeing their style implemented here. There are also some really creepy elements, some moments, I'm not gonna lie, kind of freaked me out. And I loved the elements of Black Swan meets Whiplash. Now, I don't know if they took direct inspiration, but it definitely feels like it. And there are some sequences that really stand out and some moments that really took me off guard. In terms of the things that I didn't like about Nocturne, like I mentioned earlier, this feels like it was inspired by Whiplash, also Black Swan, and Suspiria to an extent. It feels like it's inspired by those films a little too much, if you ask me, rather than standing out as its own thing. Also, when it came to the angsty element, it was kind of all over the place for me. Some parts of it I really liked, and some parts I just thought were really stupid, and overall I just thought didn't really fit. Overall, Nocturne is a really, really well done dramatic thriller with some horror elements. I want to see more from Sydney Sweeney. I want to see more from this director, and this was a really well done thriller. So all in all, I'm going to give Nocturne a 3.5 out of 5 stars. If you have Amazon Prime, I do recommend that you guys check this one out, and it makes me want to check out the other films from Welcome to the Blumhouse. We are now halfway done with my late reviews Roundup 2020 Part 2. So coming up onto my next review, we're going to be talking about Star Wars Squadrons, and man, I am so excited to talk about this game. So, Star Wars Squadrons, like I mentioned, is the latest game in the Star Wars universe. This game is set after the events of Return of the Jedi, and the story of Star Wars Squadrons, we alternate between the Republic and the Empire, as the Republic is trying to complete this thing called Project Starhawk, while the Empire is trying to destroy this Project Starhawk. Me being a big fan of Star Wars Rogue Squadron, Rogue Leader, so being that I was a big fan of those games, I was really excited to play Star Wars Squadrons, and man, did I have a great time with these games. Now, in terms of single player campaign, what I will say is this. I loved the back and forth banter between the Empire squad and also the Republic squads. The two strongest elements of this game are the gameplay and the sound design. The gameplay of Star Wars Squadrons is immersive. You really feel like you are a part of the squad and you feel like you're really within this cockpit trying to dodge all the TIE fighters and everything that the Empire is throwing at you. It feels like it's a bit complicated, but at the same time, I really like the authenticity that the developers of this game put into the dogfighting in the Star Wars universe, with the flying, with the aerial combat, trying to switch your shields, the weapons, along with how fast you can go. They really did a great job of making you feel like you're actually flying one of these ships. And it is a little hard at first, but trust me, the more that you do it, the more fun that it actually gets. There are many moments throughout the single player campaign, even the multiplayer mode, that I had so much fun. I was constantly looking over my shield, even though I didn't have a VR headset. And also the sound design, oh my god, they absolutely nailed the sound design. And whenever I heard the John Williams music playing as I was flying around, just talking about gives me goosebumps. One of the biggest praises about this game too, the price point. Star Wars Squadrons is $40. Yes, $40. For a game like this, at this quality, it is amazing that it's $40. In terms of my issues with Star Wars Squadrons, the single player campaign, depending on how quickly you finish it and on your difficulty level, I beat this game in about 8-10 hours, which is pretty medium, but part of me wishes it was actually a tad bit longer than it actually was. And also I feel like that the story of this game wasn't as great as it could have been. It was a pretty bare minimum story, because what made up for it was the gameplay, the characters, and the events that transpired within the story itself. Sometimes the multiplayer, it's really freaking hard, because the spawning in the multiplayer mode, from what I have seen, what I have played, aren't the greatest things. Other than that, guys, Star Wars Squadrons is a great, if not a pretty excellent Star Wars game. All in all, I'm going to give Star Wars Squadrons an 8 out of 10. I really do wish, though, that the game was a tad bit longer and that the story was a tad bit stronger, but other than that, as a big fan of Rogue Leader and Rogue Squadron back in the day, I was more than satisfied with this game. Guys, it's only $40. Go check it out, and especially if you have a VR headset, I feel like you'll have an even better time with this game. Coming up onto my second to final review of my late reviews Roundup 2020 Part 2. This is a movie that I am really hyped to talk about with you guys. So for my next review, I'm going to be talking about a movie called Possessor, or Possessor Uncut, whichever one you want to mention. And this was written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg, the son of David Cronenberg. And in Possessor, we follow a character played by Andrea Riseborough, who essentially is a character that has a job where she, and a word for it, she uses this machine to possess, roll credits, to essentially assassinate high-profile targets. And when she gets her next mission to possess this character played by Christopher Abbott, let's just say after some time, things become a little complicated. Now, this was a movie that, like I mentioned beforehand, I had heard a lot of things throughout the entire year. I had heard how great this movie was. I finally got to saw it, and holy shit, this movie is fucking insane. Andrea Riseborough doesn't really get the most screen time because she spends a lot of the time possessing a lot of people, but really when you get a lot of screen time with her, she is really good. Christopher Abbott absolutely is incredible, because essentially he is playing Andrea Riseborough. And I thought he did an amazing job of playing this character who had to play in different mindsets. One in the way she was completely normal, and then when he's playing a person that is being possessed by somebody else who is living through his daily life. I really like the concept of this movie, even though I will not lie, the plot of this movie is very simple, but how deep they go into this plot was absolutely insane. I love the cinematography. This might be the most beautiful looking film I've seen all year besides Promising Young Woman. And there are a lot of concepts that Brandon Cronenberg plays with that I feel like really do play out in his favor. The action sequences, when they play out, are absolutely incredible. And as you all know, since this is a Cronenberg film, there are those Cronenberg parts where things get bloody, and holy shit. And the ending, guys, god damn, what an ending that was. I only have one issue with this movie that holds it back from being a 5 out of 5, and that's this. After that opening sequence, I want to say for the first maybe 15 or 20 minutes, so this movie slows down to a screeching halt. It was just, I don't know what it was. I mean, I was still interested in it, do not get me wrong, but at the same time, it felt like this movie wasn't going anywhere. I mean, I could see what they were trying to do, with trying to develop the characters, but then once she possesses Christopher Abbott's character, sucked me right back in, and by the end, I just thought, wow. Besides, my only issue with this film was just the pacing. This movie was absolutely terrific, and I'm going to give Possessor a 4.75 out of 5 stars. This movie, now do not get me wrong, after the first 10 minutes, which is absolutely incredible, it does take some time to get going, but keep going and trust me, this movie most likely, I hope, will blow your mind like it did mine. So coming up onto my final review of my late reviews Roundup 2020 part 2, we're going to be talking about Borat subsequent movie film. Borat subsequent movie film is a sequel to the original Borat film that came out, I believe, maybe late 2000s. And once again, like in Borat, we once again follow Borat, played by Sacha Baron Cohen, as after the original Borat film, he really wasn't in good standing with Kazakhstan, and as a result, because of his actions in the original Borat film, Borat was sent to essentially an exile to basically work his ass off for what seemed like the rest of his life, until one day the government of Kazakhstan needs him to go back to the US to deliver a package to a high-profile person. After the original package is destroyed, which I don't want to give away, he ends up delivering, or he tries to deliver, I should say, his daughter as a package to a high-profile figure. I love the original Borat film. I think it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I was really worried to see if they could still keep up that shtick with the Borat sequel, because it had been, what, over, God, maybe 13 years after the original Borat film, which I absolutely love. Borat subsequent movie film is still fucking hilarious. Sacha Baron Cohen as Borat, the commitment that he has to that character is absolutely insane. Not only did I love Sacha Baron Cohen still as Borat, but I loved his daughter Turtur. I can't remember who the actress who played her. I can't remember what her name is. I'll put her name right here. But my God, she is a standout. This is a movie that, like the original Borat film, Borat was a character that essentially made fun of the uglier faces of America. In this film, in these times, my God, he does even more so, and he does not hold back. This is a movie that there are so many times throughout this film, I laughed my ass off. And by the way, like the original film, there are some cringy scenes. Not in a bad way. There is a sequence, like many others in this movie, that will make you probably go like, oh no! Oh! The most surprising thing about Borat's subsequent movie film is that this movie actually is a lot more sentimental than the previous one, and that's because there is a great relationship between Borat and his daughter. And I will say this, you guys know this scene that happens later on in the film. Oof. What I will say is this in terms of my issues. The laughs aren't as consistent as they were in the last film. There are laughs in this film, and there are some big ones, but I feel like compared to the last one, they aren't as prevalent as they were in the previous film. There are also some really cringy moments. I mean, not in a good way, I should say. Now, this isn't really an issue for me, but it's an issue for everybody else. This movie is gonna piss off a lot of people, I feel like. I just know it will. Overall, Borat subsequent movie film, even though it's not as good as the original film, it is still a great time, and I'm gonna give Borat subsequent movie film a 4 to 5 stars. This movie, like I mentioned, it's not as good as the first film, but still, it is hilarious. Borat is still laughing at the uglier sides of America, and you know what? I am all for it, guys. It's on Amazon Prime. Check it out. Alrighty, guys, and that is going to wrap it up for my late reviews Roundup 2020 part 2. I do apologize that there weren't as many reviews as there probably could have been. Things have just been crazy busy in the past couple of months, but please comment down below. Let me know. Have you guys seen or played any of these things that I mentioned in these reviews? Let me know below. And also, by the way, in terms of updates for my final reviews before my list videos, I will hopefully have a review of Hades in the next couple of days. I will be seeing Wonder Woman 1984 on Christmas. I'll do that review as fast as I possibly can, or as soon as I possibly can after I see it. And when it comes to my best and worst of the year videos, just want to let you guys know, my top 10, or maybe it might be a top 5, it depends. My favorite games of the year video with Mr. Garrison will be up on the 29th. My top 10 worst films of 2020, to which, yes, there were actually 10 films, more than 10 films that came out this year. But my top 10 worst films of 2020 will be up on the 30th. And then my top 10 favorite movies of the year video will be up on the 31st on New Year's Eve. So please, keep an eye out for those videos as time goes on for the end of the year. I am starting to finalize the lists right now, and I cannot wait to share those lists with you guys by the end of the year. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. I'm also on Snapchat and Stardust. So if you guys want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all the links in the names are in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed my late reviews Roundup 2020 part 2. If so, please hit that like button, also subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell for whenever the latest video of mine goes live. If you guys want to see any of my previous 2 videos, please click either right there or there. And of course, until my next review or video, I'll see you all next time.